So don't you be scared, or don't you be afraid. You wind up your waist, I want you to throw around your brain. And we gon' wind up on it, shake up on it, wind up on it, and show what we can do. You wind up on me, and shake up on me, and wind up on me, and let the whole world see. Come on, hey! Ah, that's it, that's it. Wind up on it, girl. Show them what you're good for. Come on now. Wind up, come on. Shake it up. Y'all let them fellas go do it now. Come on now. Solo that thing now. Come on now. Ah, that's it. Listen to the music. I'm giving you music. I want you to wind your waist. Come on now. Shake it up, girls. One more time. Wind up on it. Shake up on it. Come wind up on it and show what you can do. Let me wind up on you and let me shake up on you and let me wind up on you and show what I can do. Listen here, we going to a show and it's a winding contest. We gonna shake what we got and see who winds up the best. I say you wine on me and I gon' wine on you. Together we gon' wine and show what we can do. So let's wind up on it and you must shake up on it. And let me wind up on it and show what we can do. I wanna wind up on you, I wanna shake up on you, I wanna wind up on you and show what I can do. Come on, wind up. Ah, look at me, I'm whining, look at you. Ah, boy, come on, CBS. Oi! Ladies and gentlemen, wind along with me. Come on now, let's do it. So wind up on it and shake up on it. And wind up on it and show what we can do. Let me wind up on you and let me shake up on you and let me wind up on you and show what I can do. Everybody.
Sexual assault of 12-year-old Adriel Moxie. This as the case reignites calls for the death penalty. And later, a home explodes and a family is left to pick up the pieces. Eyewitness News starts now. Good evening, everyone. I'm Janae Noel. Thanks so much for joining us. Topping news tonight, an alleged serial killer hauled before the courts this afternoon in connection with the brutal murder of 12-year-old Adriel Moxie. Her body was discovered last month through a track road. Moxie died as a result of strangulation, according to police, but was also sexually assaulted at the time of her demise, according to reports. Arlington Ritchie Jr. was present for court proceedings. He joins me live in studio to discuss the latest. Linton?
Good evening, Janaea. The wheels of justice turning in the matter of 12-year-old Adriel Moxie as her suspected murderer was arraigned in the magistrate's court this afternoon, just days after he allegedly confessed to authorities that he was at the hands of the young girl's death. Officer in charge of the Criminal Investigations Department, Chief Superintendent Anton Raming, announced this morning that the road to justice for young Moxie has just begun.
At this current time, we have one individual in our custody who has been charged with that matter. He is on his way to court at 12 noon today.
It was around 1:20 p.m. that alleged serial killer was revealed to the courts today as 39-year-old Chris Ferguson of Misty Close. Silence blanketed the courtroom as Ferguson walked from behind the bench, shackled at the feet, dressed in all blue, preparing to have his charges read to him by Chief Magistrate Roberto Reckley in connection to the gruesome murder of 12-year-old Adriel Moxie. But what led police to receive enough for Ferguson to be charged?
Based on our investigation and during the time of our investigation, he has provided additional information that we are satisfied that he has been able to direct us additionally into areas and directed us, and we have been able to locate some physical evidence that has connected us to that particular scene.
As a result of the evidence gathered, Ferguson stood with his head up as he was charged with 1 count of murder, 2 counts of unlawful detention, and 3 counts of unlawful sexual intercourse, all alleged to have taken place on November 18th, 2024, just 2 days before young Adriel's lifeless body was discovered through a track road partially clad. And just a little over a month later, Investigators returned to the scene reportedly with Ferguson following his alleged confession, where he reportedly led them to some key belongings of Adriel.
We have located the school bike with that young child. It has been identified by family members, along with some additional physical evidence.
As for any DNA that could officially link Ferguson,
we have obtained specimens that we are sending off, that they should be on their way.
While no family of Adriel or Ferguson was present for the arraignment, a number of activists filled the courtroom, one being Candy Gibson. Gibson says this should be a clarion call for the death penalty.
They should come to the media and the public as the worst of the worst. Because look what he did to that 12-year-old girl, Adriel Moxie, had a bright future and he chose not to give her future. There should be no longer a future for him.
Hours before Ferguson made his court appearance, authorities shut down any rumors of him allegedly being beaten into a confession.
Based on the information that was provided to them, they were able to sit down with this individual. They were able to put that information to him, and he was satisfied that the officers, I guess, had the relevant information, and he shared what he had to say with the officers.
Near tears, Gibson says the violence against the vulnerable must stop.
I come out here because I'm an advocate. I come out here because I have a daughter. I come out here because I have nieces. I come out here because I have a sister and I have a mother, and that's why I'm out here. Enough now is enough.
Now, Janea, after Ferguson was handed down a date of May 1st, 2025, for his matter to proceed by way of a voluntary bill of indictment, he raised his hand in the courtroom, asking if he can receive a court-appointed lawyer. However, Reckley made him aware that an application for a public defender can be made at the Supreme Court. The prosecutors are Chief Superintendent David Lockhart and Inspector Dion Barr. For now, I'm Linton Ritchie Jr. reporting live in studio. Sending it back to the desk, Janelle.
Thanks for following that story, Linton. Meantime, the man allegedly responsible for the death of 12-year-old Adriel Moxie also reportedly confessed to several murders while in police custody earlier this week, dating back to nearly a decade. Those murders allegedly taking place on the island of Grand Bahama, two in the nation's capital, including Moxie. 39-year-old Chris Ferguson reportedly told officials that he committed a number of homicides and covered it up with arson. And while the officer in charge of the Criminal Investigations Department, Chief Superintendent Anton Ramming, confirmed the reported confession, he explained that more evidence was needed before Ferguson can be charged.
There is, of course, information that is being shared that sometime during his detention, he shared some information as relates to additional matters. That information is confirmed. We have spoken to him in connection with several matters. He has shared information with us. We have looked into that. We have taken him into Grand Bahama as well. We have looked into those matters. At this time, there is insufficient evidence for us to charge him with those matters. However, we'll be continuing our investigation into those matters, and hopefully in a short time, we'll be able to bring about some conclusion as relates to those investigations. At this time, we are looking into about 4 matters in Grand Bahama. As I mentioned, we are dealing with the matter here in New Providence and one additional matter here in New Providence along with Adriel Moxie.
Ramming also telling reporters that with the alleged confession coming over 10 years since the reported crimes were committed, he says it now complicates the work of investigators, but he's sure that resources are sufficient to revive these cases.
They are murders that we are looking into. None of them at this time are suggested to be sexual matters, but we are looking into them to see what additional information that we can get. We have matters dating back quite a number of years, perhaps about 10 years or so. And so we have a lot of work to do in those matters, and so we'll continue our investigation. Well, of course, you would note that during that time, we hadn't have the Dorian and all of the other natural disasters that may have come since that time. But the officers, I believe, did due diligence at that time of the investigation that would pretty much put us in a good position that the information that we do have now, that we can look at that information and determine whether that information can lead us anywhere further.
Well, the murder of Adriel Moxey and the possibility of additional murders being carried out by Chris Ferguson have reignited calls for the death penalty. Head of Great Commission Ministries, Bishop Walter Hanchel, shares his perspective tonight.
Over the past 10 years, thousands of young men, plus a few mothers and children, were brutally murdered in the Bahamas, and the carnage continues almost on a daily basis. Something radical needs to be done to minimize such violent behavior that appears to be the norm in our communities. I strongly believe that the death penalty should be resumed without haste. There is not one prophet in the Old Testament or any of the New Testament writers, including the Apostle Paul, who condemned capital punishment or even spoke out against it, not even once. Jesus never taught that capital punishment be abolished, as some false preachers, some activists and proponents against the death penalty do today. All moral laws have their root in the Bible, including capital punishment, which is in our Constitution, but is not being enforced by our political leaders and our judicial system. Both the PLP and FNM governments have failed the Bahamian people with regards to enforcing the death penalty, mainly because they choose to follow the dictates of the United Nations rather than the law of God and the Constitution of the Bahamas, which they swore to uphold and did not do so in this regard.
Well, both sides of the political divide have asserted that these matters land in the hands of the Privy Council. Now, Hanchel says that capital punishment should not be a political tactic, but should be one of the many consequences to better protect law-abiding Bahamians from becoming a statistic.
Capital punishment was established by God for the protection and national security of society and for the removal of offenders from among the people. Jesus Christ himself received capital punishment at the hands of the Romans. He never opposed capital punishment, nor did his disciples, because God's word supports and commands state killings for convicted murderers. Capital punishment was established by our Creator to remove offenders from society. No government or institution has the authority to overrule God's supreme laws. Capital punishment was never meant to be a deterrent, even though it is, when it is carried out speedily. It was intended to punish murderers for them taking precious lives that God created and to remove them permanently from society. I believe that we can change the method of administering the death penalty from hanging to perhaps lethal injection, but the laws of the Bahamas must be enforced. Vigilante justice and brutal killings have increased greatly over the years because the state has failed in their God-given duty to remove murderers from society. Subsequently, people have taken the laws into their own hands. The reason why there is so much lawlessness and corruption throughout the Bahamas is because so many laws on our books are not being enforced, including those for minor breaches. We will see more heinous murders in the future unless the government of the Bahamas enact proper laws that will make the death penalty mandatory without appeal, ensuring that the Privy Council and the Court of Appeal of the Bahamas not be able to commute the death penalty to a life sentence.
Well, following the latest confession in the Adriel Moxey case, prompting the prosecution to reportedly seek the death penalty, as crime increases and concerns deepen, what could this mean for the future of the Bahamas and the way crime is tackled? Our Delano Roker takes to the public.
Morality versus ethics remains a long-standing point of contention in the Bahamas. Now, after years of rising crime and incessant calls for stronger protocols, many we spoke to are sharing their opinions on the death penalty.
So I feel like the death penalty should be inflicted today now because I feel like it would deter others from committing the same crimes that people are now committing in the Bahamas. And also not only that, I feel like it would scare them more to not commit these crimes. I'm very afraid to go places, especially in the night, because of these crimes being committed here and there. And it becomes so constant nowadays. So I feel like doing that, especially towards men, makes women more comfortable to go out or what's not, because now they know that, if they do commit these crimes, that they would be punished for it.
I believe in the death penalty with the amount of murders that we have in this country. I believe it will be a deterrent because I believe in what the Bible says. If a man takes another man's life, then that man should die. And so I believe in the death penalty. Despite what the Privy Council may say, they live on another side of the world, we live on this side. And they don't know the effects that we feel in the country as Bahamians. The amount of murders is just too high. And so we must be able to put a dent. And I believe the death penalty will be a deterrent.
While many Bahamians support capital punishment, others are in opposition, arguing that it leaves room for reversible mistakes and questions of fairness.
So my opinion on the death penalty is that when implemented, it may curb it, but then there may be some casualties, whereas persons who are innocent being charged before the courts are found guilty and they didn't commit and they're killed for the crime somebody else committed. So if we are going to implement it, there ought to be some stringent guidelines to ensure that the right person is being held accountable for what they did. I also believe that if we start our formation from the home, we won't necessarily have to be concerned about the death penalty. So if parents would do what they ought to do, the church would do what they ought to do, stop depending on the government to fix all of our problems, I think we'll be a little bit better as a country and move forward together.
The police beating you, so you can't have a fair trial either which way because they beating you to tell the truth even if it ain't the truth. So on death penalty, they got to fix the country first before they say do death penalty. And that's my little 5 cents.
Correct criminal is found, I'm all for it, especially for those persons, child killers, serial killers, definitely.
The debate around capital punishment takes on a complex dimension in the Bahamas, where the Privy Council has blocked the death penalty in practice, even in high-profile cases. The Privy Council's stance is based on the criterion that capital punishment should only be applied in the worst of the worst cases, leaving many Bahamians frustrated by the system's inability to act. As the new year approaches, the consensus remains clear. The people want to feel safe, whether through capital punishment or other crime-fighting measures. Action is needed to address this persistent problem. Delano Roker, Eyewitness News.
Thanks, Delano. Well, 41-year-old Devardo Knowles of Wilson Track stood before Senior Magistrate Anishka Isaacs, charged with dangerous harm in connection to that brutal attack on Blue Hill Road bus stop that left 44-year-old Latasha Roll with 2 broken legs and a broken nose. That unfortunate incident sparking outrage nationwide as the assault was captured on video by a nearby motorist, going viral. Roll is still in hospital, now in need of blood. Her matter will proceed by a voluntary bill of indictment set for April 10th of next year. Until then, he will be remanded to the Department of Corrections. Well, it's being described as nothing short of a miracle, as the occupants of a home and 2 gas operators are thankful to be alive tonight after a home exploded just days after Christmas. That explosion rocking the southwestern part of the island and shocking residents. Valencia Smith has been following this story since it broke on Sunday. Today she spoke with the homeowner, who says despite the loss, she's grateful. Here's that story.
The movie is almost like, you hear like a sonic boom. It's almost like something that you would have seen in a movie.
The sound could be heard as far west across New Providence as a gas explosion resulted in the destruction of a home and business, 4 East Takeaway on Blue Hill Road. Homeowner Sandra Smith and her family of 8 were all at home at the time of the incident, as the business attached to the home was being refilled with gas. The incident left the gas operators with severe injuries, and the family members were also hurt.
Yeah, they don't. Yes, they all right. They all right. Everybody good. The lady, the little one who had her leg burned, she out. They let out last night. The little girl who was with me and the little baby, they good. I leave them home, and it was all right and everything.
So your husband still left in hospital?
Yeah, my daughter, she in coma, and my little grandson who's 6, he in the hospital.
When Eyewitness News arrived on the scene yesterday evening, yellow caution tape surround the area. Parts of the roof and shattered glass were scattered all across the street, adjacent from the Commonwealth Bank in the Golden Gate Shopping Plaza. And today, when Eyewitness News returned to the scene, we found officers from the Fire Service Department continuing further investigations. Smith was singing praises unto God.
And I just fixed up my house so nice and pretty by my stuff. You know, at least there's vanity and stuff like that, I said, Lord, I said, we got to go. I ain't panic. I said, Smitty, let's go. We got to go. Chill. I cry and I call on God. I said, God, we got to get out. We got to get out. So we just get out and I say, Lord, so that everybody's still alive.
Fire services reported that a 25-year-old gas company driver suffered severe burns in a gas explosion while servicing a home. They further noted in their report that he observed a clog in the gas line and managed to shut off the truck's main valve to prevent further damage. While his passenger, a 26-year-old man, also suffered burns to his face and hand. Here's Police Superintendent Ambrister speaking with the media on the scene.
We would have initially responded with 2 units. Our units would have arrived on scene within 7 minutes. Upon their arrival, they would have met what you can see here, a single-story stone structure that would have received extensive damages. And some adjacent nearby buildings would have also received damages. What we can say at this time is that a fuel truck, an LPG truck, they were fueling an LPG tank when the explosion occurred.
The explosion did not just damage the Smith family's property. It also caused significant damages to properties on both the western and eastern side. Fritz Grant, who lives just 2 houses away from the site, described the experience as something straight out of a movie.
Outside, yes, the door blew off, some of the glasses out, the roof compromised, and yeah, we have some structural damage in the home, but that's can be repaired. I experienced tremendous damage. I spoke to the person who owned it. Her whole inside is obliterated. I mean, she just lost with everything because of the impact of the explosion impacted her.
As fire personnel worked on the scene on Sunday, scores of persons gathered in the Golden Gate Shopping Plaza. McConan, a local DJ, gave his account on what transpired in a video recorded at a local studio, Jiggy Studios, and posted it on his social media page.
It's at the gas station yard. In the gas station, got my daughter as far away as I felt was safe. I immediately jumped back in to try and find out what was happening. When I got on the scene, you could see the chaos. You could see how afraid or confused everyone was.
I'm standing here at what's left of Sandra's business, the 4E's Takeaway, a business that she's had for the last 5 years. And she says right now she doesn't know what's next, but the main concern is the safety and the recovery of her family. Now, police are still conducting their investigation into this matter. Laurencia Smith, Eyewitness News.
Well, officials from the Public Hospitals Authority providing an update on those individuals involved in that home explosion. Of the 4 adults that remain in hospital, 2 remain in stable condition, 2 others are in critical. As for the children, 1 is admitted and is in stable condition, and 2 of them have been discharged. Prime Minister Philip Davis has also sent his well wishes for those injured, adding that he's instructed that all available resources be deployed to assist those affected. Meantime, Golden Gate's Member of Parliament Pia Glover Roll speaking with Eyewitness News this afternoon, hours after that gas explosion which left persons, homes and businesses damaged in the Golden Gates community. Glover Roll noted that boots are on the ground for those constituents affected by this tragedy, and with the home destroyed and others damaged, Glover Roll ensured that a team of contractors were sent out and that rebuilding the community will be a multi-agency approach.
Residents of Golden Gates are currently being offered assistance. In fact, immediately upon the explosion, we were able to galvanize teams into action who assisted with of course, assessing the repairs that were required or any assistance that required in homes surrounding the explosion site, and there were a number of them. Some residents were encouraged to visit the hospital. Many of them were traumatized and in shock, and of course, there was physical damage to structures. Structures that had windows blown out, we were able last evening to help with battening up those windows to ensure safety of the homes. There was a lot of ceilings falling in some surrounding homes that we're now sending contractors out today. We had some teams on the ground at 8 this morning, and some teams will also be dispatched at noon, where we will be taking contractors to assess the home damage, because we are working hand in hand with urban renewal and social services. Social services is poised to provide clothing, food, and appliance assistance, and urban renewal is assisting us with home repair assistance once our contractors are able to make assessments, the necessary assessments today.
Clover Roll is also encouraging those who were affected and have not reached out to contact the constituency team, as she emphasized that this is a time for everyone to step in to assist.
Golden Gate's team, PIA, remains on standby to assist. It's important that during these times of disaster, which this is, we continue to exhibit a sense of community and support. Not that some people cannot help themselves, but this is an instance where some people are very traumatized. Nobody can, some people can't wrap their head around what actually transpired yesterday. It was definitely devastating for some. So we remain in position to be able to assist those who require. And of course, we've asked for those who may have been on the outer perimeters, who we may not have physically visited yet, if you discover any issues or damages, to reach out so that we get able to assist and guide as necessary.
Meantime, on the heels of that gas-related explosion that left gas personnel and a family of nearly a dozen injured, Eyewitness News speaking with the building controls officer within the Ministry of Works, Craig Delancey. He provided these tips to those who utilize gas tanks in their homes and businesses.
We'd like to advise general public that when it comes to dealing with LPG gas, that they utilize the registered companies that are in the field of carrying out installations and for the refilling of tanks. We'd also like persons to ensure that their appliances, gas appliances, are in good working order, and to ensure that there's no leaks from their appliances to the gas tanks. There's not much more we can say at this point to give on the explosion, and we are still awaiting the Royal Bahamas Fire Department's report.
Well, an 18-year-old man will most likely start the new year off behind bars after police say he had a role to play in a mass shooting in the Foxhill community that injured 5 individuals. 2 of those victims died on what turned out to be a bloody and chaotic scene just days before the holidays. Our Jose Etienne joining me live in studio to discuss the details of that arraignment. Jose?
Janita, days before the Christmas holiday, a brazen mass shooting rocked the Foxhill community and claimed the lives of 2 men, while a 7-year-old boy, a woman, and another man narrowly escaped death. That resulted in a relentless manhunt for the culprits, one of them being caught shortly after the broad daylight crime, and today he made his initial appearance in court after an alleged physically brutal experience with authorities.
This individual has been charged with abetment. We were able to charge him in relation to that matter.
Head of the Criminal Investigations Department, Anton Ramming, disclosing the charge that Chief Magistrate Roberto Reckley levied against 18-year-old Aladdin Pelicanos in the Magistrate's Court on Monday. Authorities say he abetted in a broad daylight mass shooting inside a barbershop on Bernard Road 2 weeks ago that left 2 men dead and 3 others nursing injuries.
Fighting here this morning, loved ones of the victims.
Meanwhile, Palacanos is just one of a few suspects in the matter, but he was not charged with murder. Authorities told reporters on that chaotic scene that two men exited a black Honda Accord vehicle while armed with high-powered weapons, entered the establishment and opened fire on the patrons, sparking what some dubbed a holiday horror. This suggests that those two men, once caught, could be charged with murder.
That investigation is not complete, but we are looking into that matter with a view of identifying additional persons who are responsible for that matter.
Now, Janelle, it is important to note that the suspect was not charged with abetment to commit attempted murder, given that three others were almost killed. We hope to get some clarity on that from a legal mind, but due to the nature of the crime, the accused was denied bail and subsequently remanded to the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services. He's expected to return to court on April 24, 2025 for the presentation of the voluntary bill of indictment. Reporting live in studio, I'm Jose Etienne. Back to you, Janelle.
Thanks so much, Jose. Meantime, Senior Magistrate Raquel Wims granted 37-year-old Lothario Barbs bail after he was accused of assaulting a random woman at a nightclub on Christmas Day. Wims arraigned Babs on assault and possession of dangerous drug charges. Babs allegedly assaulted a woman at the Uchi nightclub on December 25th, and reports indicate that the accused was reportedly not known by the complainant. After his arrest, the defendant was reportedly found with 7 grams of marijuana in his pants. Later the same day, while Babs pleaded guilty to the drug charge, he pleaded not guilty to the assault charge. Now, the defendant was granted a conditional discharge for the drug offense, where he is to observe a 6-month probationary period. During this time, Babs must attend drug counseling. Failure to comply with these conditions would incur a 1-month prison term. Regarding the assault charge, Babs was granted bail at $2,500 with 1 or 2 sureties. Under the terms of his bail, the defendant must sign in at the Kwaku Street Police Station on Thursdays by 7 p.m. His assault trial begins on March 28th of next year, while he is to return to court on report for the drug charge on July 1st. Well, former United States of America President Jimmy Carter, the nation's 39th president and a Nobel Peace Prize, passed away today at the age of 100 in his hometown of Plains, Georgia. The Carter Center confirmed his death, noting that he was the longest living president in U.S. history. Carter's presidency from 1977 to 1981 was marked by significant events, including the Camp David Accords and the Iran hostage crisis. After leaving office, he dedicated his life to humanitarian efforts, founding the Carter Center and working with Habitat for Humanity, earning him the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002. Now, he was preceded in death by his wife of 77 years, Rosalind Carter, who passed away in November of last year. Now, this photo on your screen features then President Carter during a visit to then Prime Minister Lyndon Pinling in the Bahamas. It's a photo courtesy of Arnold Rapp Wilson. Thanks so much for that photograph. Well, if you've got a news tip or if you've seen news in the making, call the Ion News hotline at 397-6397. We also invite you to send your letters to the editor for publication on all of our social media platforms, Eyewitness News Bahamas at gmail.com. And if you're watching on our Facebook or YouTube page, share your thoughts about today's stories in the comments section. We want to hear from you. We're just getting started in Eyewitness News tonight, but when we come back, the original developer for Bahamas are not pleased with CCA's recent legal move. We've got that story coming up. And later tonight, the Nassau Airport Development Company slamming mischief makers online for some fake news. We've got more on that right after this break.
This Christmas, stay connected through all the family traditions. Holidaying is unwrapping gadgets, gigs, and gift cards. Sign up for a $64.99 or higher postpaid plan and get a free smartphone. 3 gigs of bonus data for 3 months and a chance to win a $100 gift card. We've got you covered with the ultimate postpaid deals. For more postpaid offers, visit us online at bdcbahamas.com.
The most important thing in life is family, and whenever you need reliable advice, you look to the people you know you can trust. At J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers, we earn our clients' trust every day. Whether it's home, motor, travel, or commercial insurance, we've got you covered. Call 397-2100 or visit jsjohnson.com.
JS Johnson Insurance, peace of mind.
Crunch the holidays with festive buckets, starting at just $20. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
So, who's driving tonight then?
Who's the best driver?
Guess who's driving?
Guess who's driving?
What I don't need all that bread, that don't make a soup. Yeah, I like the beach, but I don't go in water. Just grab me a collect, that's the bear of the Bahamas. I like to go down, oh yeah, oh yeah.
This segment of Eyewitness News is brought to you by EV Motors. Drive the future with brand new 2024 electric vehicles. EV Motors, powering your journey.
Welcome back. Here's a look at your Eyewitness News gas tracker. $5.38 at Esso, $5.53 at Rubis, and Shell $5.37. Welcome back. You're watching Eyewitness News. Well, the Bahama Resort saga continues tonight as lawyers for the hotel's former developer, Sarkis Ismailian, had accused China Construction America of painting a, quote, one-sided and incomplete picture of the ongoing litigation between CCA and Ismailian's company, BLM Properties Limited, when CCA filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection earlier this month. In documents filed in a U.S. bankruptcy court in New Jersey on Friday, Ismailian's counsel said a motion and first-day pleading filed to support CCA's bankruptcy filing left out a 74-page post-trial decision which set out a New York Supreme Court's reasoning behind a $1.6 billion judgment against CCA in favor of Ismailian. Ismailian's counsel further argued that the CCA filing for bankruptcy is, quote, just another example of CCA and its multi-billion-dollar parent company, China State Construction Engineering Corporation, attempting to evade responsibility for its actions by hiding behind a Chapter 11 proceedings. Ismailian's lawyers pointed out that the New York Supreme Court ruled that the judgment should be entered against all three nominal defendants in the matter, that's CCA, CSCEC Bahamas, and CCA Bahamas. The ongoing legal battle ensued as a result of that ruling handed down by Justice Andrew Borick found that Ismailian's company proved that by clear and convincing evidence that CCA's multiple acts of fraud and breaches of an agreement to act in the best interests of BML caused the Bahama project to miss the date for partial opening. It's a story we are continuing to follow. While police officials renewing concerns tonight about what they say has been an uptick in Japanese vehicles being stolen, Assistant Superintendent Arnold Strawn, who is attached to the stolen vehicle section, says this has been a vexing issue all year long as criminals are finding creative ways to steal residents' possessions only to use them in the commissioning of other serious crimes. This as there has been incidents throughout the year where police nabbed suspects who they say used a stolen Japanese vehicle to commit murder.
Note is still up there high on that list. The Nissan Cubes, also the Nissan Juke. Okay, now through our investigation, we've also noticed that amongst these numbers are a large number of push-start vehicles. Okay? Now, we have realized that persons now are using a scan tool. All right? A digital scan tool that has the capability of reprogramming those key fobs. Okay? So once they access your vehicle and they reprogram that key fob, they can start your vehicle and drive away.
Well, Police Assistant Superintendent Strawn also recommending a number of anti-theft measures, which he's imploring residents to consider to minimize opportunities for individuals to execute their crimes.
We recommend that persons use the club. Also, we would recommend that they use alarm systems, because in a lot of cases we noticed that the cars that are taken had no alarm system or any type of anti-theft device. Now, I know some time back they had some steering wheel locks, they had shift locks, they also had pedal locks. And all of these help to limit the chance of a thief taking your vehicle. Okay? I would also advise persons to park in well-lit areas. Okay? Park in well-lit areas, and also ensure that their vehicle is locked, because in a lot of cases, you have persons, we notice, they create opportunities for these thieves. They would dash right to a restaurant or a bar and leave the car running, or leave the key in the car. The music is playing. I even see persons go to gas station. They may turn the car off, but the music is playing loud. I don't know why they do that. But you're creating an opportunity for these thieves to carry your vehicle.
Meanwhile, on the heels of that Boxing Day parade, leader of the Way Forward Valley Boys, Trevor Davis, is questioning why Junkanoo groups in the A category, who he claims committed infractions during the parade, go unpunished. It's a question he's levying to the Junkanoo Corporation of New Providence, as he went on to say that the JCMP has not been abiding by its own rules when it comes to managing the parade. Davis's comments come as it was alleged during the parade that a Category A groups, some of them arrived late, while others did not have the minimum required number of group participants.
I think what we was disappointed about that, several of the groups didn't have the 200 members that was required, and there was no disqualification, which is far from what the JCNP said. They said clearly that rules are rules and they're not breaking no rules for no reason, but it was there in plain sight for everybody to see that there are several groups that didn't make the 200 mark, and we didn't hear about no groups being disqualified.
Davis is also decrying what he claims has been the JCNP's wrongful bias towards the Way Forward Valley Boys, as that fraction of the Valley Boys Junkanoo organization remains embroiled in a controversy as a result of a stunning split that resulted in a legal dogfight between both sides.
Straight across the board, at no point they sit down to have a conversation with us and look at our documents, which happen to be documents by the government of the Bahamas. We had an opportunity to have a meeting with them. I think it was probably on the 23rd of December was the first time they sat down with us. And so that alone could tell you whether they was being biased or not.
Attempts to reach JCMP officials for a response were unsuccessful up until news time. Well, as the holiday season wraps up, SuperValue CEO Rupert Roberts speaking with Eyewitness News Business, revealing that while Christmas sales saw an increase compared to last year, he says he's noticed a slowdown in the economy. He added that average sales per customer have remained, quote, much too low over the past 6 months.
Well, we do. We're over last Christmas, but we compare 2 weeks, the Christmas week and the New Year's week together, and we wait until after New Year's to see how the two compare, because they fall on different dates, so you don't really have a comparison. But on the Christmas Day sales, we beat last year. I don't know any percentages because I'm not there, but the report is the sales were higher than last year.
Of the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce, James Carey, labeling the recent closure of Sawyer's Fresh Market Lucaya location and warehouse extreme and a step backward for the Grand Bahamian economy. On Friday, the company announced the closures and subsequent layoff of an unconfirmed number of employees. Carey, while commenting on the matter, suggested that the move came as a surprise, considering that the Lucaya location was still relatively new, and also noted that the company had recently opened a location at Hurricane Hole here on Paradise Island. He questioned the company's financial state and suggested that he would look to gain more intel after the holiday season.
It seems very extreme to actually shut down a business like a supermarket with a suggestion of restarting. You can't possibly be so thin on the financing that it's not possible to keep a store going. I don't have a count of the number of jobs that have been impacted, but it's a classic case. Freeport tends to take a couple of paces forward, and then we have to step back again. It's essentially the story up here. Usually when these things happen on labor matters, there's something said to the government, and I don't know what has been said to the Port Authority in regards to their closing.
Nassau Airport development officials are condemning a Facebook account and social media posts circulating advertising what appears to be a room filled with lost luggage up for sale after not being claimed by its owners. Vice President of Marketing and Commercial Development at NAD, Jan Knowles, telling Eyewitness News that the post is false and has no affiliation with the Lynden Pinling International Airport.
The public is advised that the Facebook post selling lost luggage is a scam and not associated in any way with LPIA or its partners. Please beware of this or any other similar post purporting to sell unclaimed luggage.
Knowles also explaining that since the post has gained attention to the wider public, especially those vulnerable to falling victims of fraud, NAD authorities have made an official complaint and report of the matter and are encouraging persons not to sign over their finances to the account.
The post and page have been reported to Facebook as fraudulent. Please do not engage with that post or put in your information. It is fraud.
Fever spreading throughout the family islands. A parade was recently held on Harbour Island where two groups participated for top prizes. Kishlyn Smith, deputy co-chair of the National Junkanoo Committee, reading the results to an excited crowd. The groups both brought their A games and were sure to give these Nassau groups a run for their money. But in the end, there could only be one winner.
The overall winners of the 2024 Harbour Island Junkanoo Parade. The winners of the 2024 Harbour Island Junkanoo Parade. In second position, with a score of 251 points, the Warriors. And the winner. Of the 2024 Harbour Island Junkanoo Parade with a score of 263 points, Zulu.
If you're not excited for a Junkanoo Parade like that, don't even show up. Still to come in Eyewitness News, it's the new year on the horizon. We asked our team members what's in store for them for 2025. We've got that. But first, here's a check on tonight's weather forecast.
Bahamas. We understand your business needs. We remain dedicated to giving you the best experiences for your business's growth and development. Reliable internet speeds for your customers' stress-free online shopping experience. Secure landline connections so your customers and team can always reach you. Exclusive add-ons like website and online store to put your brand on the map as the best. Find more at business.btcbahamas.com.
What? You don't know what TDC is? Tourism Development Corporation? You mean the Ministry of Tourism? No, that ain't the same thing, but the Tourism Development Corporation helps to develop and grow behemoth businesses in the tourism industry. You heard what they say, boy? Oh yeah, develop and grow. You don't know what all the things they do? What does do? Hey, check the website, boy.
Start your journey to ownership of our #1 industry today. Log on to tdcbahamas.com.
Doctors Hospitals reimagine primary care. We've invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. Your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new, modern primary care facilities are where critical diagnosis and true personalized treatment begin. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshos.com.
This holiday season, enjoy peace of mind with Sand Dollar, the digital Bahamian dollar. Whether you're shopping for gifts or sharing joy with loved ones, Sand Dollar keeps your transactions safe and seamless. Backed by the Central Bank of the Bahamas, Sand Dollar uses cutting-edge technology to ensure every payment is protected, so you can focus on what matters most, making memories. The inclusive, convenient, and secure way to pay. Safety wherever the season takes you. Sand Dollar. Gift more and stress less this holiday season.
Comfort Suites Paradise Island is the best-kept secret in the Bahamas. Located directly next door to the Atlantis Resort, you'll receive all the privileges of an Atlantis guest with all the benefits of a Comfort Suite stay. Enjoy everything Atlantis has to offer, including Aquaventure Water Park, plus all the amenities of Comfort Suites. Free Wi-Fi, free breakfast daily, and kids stay, play, and eat free. Visit ComfortSuitesPI.com.
Cashmas time, here we go. Mercy's doing it big this year. Cashmas time with extra chair. 12 days of merry winnings from your friends at Island Bay. Friends we trust, game we know. Cashmas time, here we go. Prizes and lots of dough. This Christmas, come catch a lick with 20 on your account. Quick, quick, quick. And you can win some awesome stuff at Percy's Island Bay. Yeah.
You're watching Eyewitness News.
Well, as 2024 comes to a close, many are reflecting on their resolutions for the year ahead. And that includes us here at Eyewitness News. From health goals to professional aspirations, our team is ready to take on 2025. Our intern, Ariel Evans, joins us with a special segment on what the news team is setting their sights on for the new year.
In less than 48 hours, our country will be heading into a new year. And just like you viewers at home, we here at Eyewitness News are also making our preparations and plans for our New Year's resolutions. So we interviewed some of our members today, and this is what they had to say.
Fitness. It's always good to have a healthy body. I'm very big on athletics, working out, staying in shape, eating good, detoxing. So I'll be doing a lot of that in 2025.
When you look at the statistics that describe what the Bahamas is and where the Bahamas is in terms of our obesity rate in the world, I mean, a country as small as this, the obesity, we're in the top 10. And I want to also continue to lead in that discussion and that narrative. And so I do it already on social media. I want to sort of continue bringing that more to the forefront.
Additionally, members of our team are looking inward, sharing their goals to foster stronger mental and spiritual connections.
One of them is definitely getting closer to Christ. This year taught me a lot of things that I should lean more towards Him and put my trust in Him even more. Not to say I don't, but trusting in God is the way to go.
Obeying that one mind. Sometimes we have things that come in our mind that we want to do on the spot or that we want to say on the spot, but you have apprehensions or you're not sure. And a lot of times that one thing is something that leads to something greater, or a new opportunity or a new relationship. So for me, my New Year's resolution is to listen to that one mind more.
Looking outward, some of our members are focusing on self-care and personal growth as they take on 2025.
Be more consistent with my self-care because, in news we can be bogged down, get very busy with news on a daily basis. So my goal is for 2025 is to make sure I take more time for my self-care and all that good stuff in between.
Well, I hope in year 2025 I get to continue to learn, continue to grow in every aspect of my life. I want to eat more healthier. I want to get into the gym and all those good stuff. And yeah.
So what can we expect from our Eyewitness News team as they enter a new year in regards to their personal development? While some of our teams share their professional goals for this upcoming year.
Is to be more effective and faster in my editing, the way I conduct my work and stuff like that, things of that nature.
Continue to build on my skills, build on everything that I learned this year, and to just become a better all-around reporter. That's my goal.
We are entering an election season. And I want to continue being one of those trusted voices on this platform and whatever I do.
As we head into 2025, our Eyewitness News team is committed to personal and professional development as we continue to bring you the news what matters to you the most. Ariel Evans, Eyewitness News.
To come in Eyewitness News tonight, our Laurentia Smith has a recap of this year in sports. It's her year in review. We have that right after this break.
It's a different kind of Christmas, but everything is here to bring a smile upon your face. That's what the season brings. Yeah. See, Christmas time is the time for your family and friends. Come and shop with us and find everything that you need. Deck out your homes with all we have in store, bringing joy and so much more. At Shop Smart, at Shop Smart, at Shop Smart. Oh, everything is here at Shop Smart, at Shop Smart, at Shop Smart. Oh, everything is here.
Welcome to Paradise Games, where exceptional service meets the ultimate gaming experience. Our dedicated team is here to make every visit a win.
Now this is paradise.
This is more than just a place to play.
Now this is paradise.
It's where excitement meets world-class service.
Now this is paradise.
Now this is paradise.
Come, experience it for yourself. Now this is paradise.
On the river of life, where the open waters meet, we are all free to seek our own path. For some, it is a journey to the edge. For others, it's a pursuit of a mind at peace, distilling precious memories as we float where the tide takes us. It can be expeditions of one or relentless pursuits of what eludes us. It matters not. If you hunt, if you gather, there is a personal journey to find where you need to go, to outrun any ticking clock. Through decades, wave after wave of passing time, Sea-Doo has remained here, making each ride a story. Because life is unscripted, it's as open as the water. You can decide on the ride of your life.
Sports is brought to you by 103.5 The Beat.
"2024 has been a landmark year for Bahamian sports, marked by record-breaking performances and trailblazing achievements across multiple sporting disciplines. We're here at the iconic Legend Walk, where Bahamian sports personalities are honored for their achievements. And kicking off this legendary year was world record holder in the women's 60-meter hurdles, Devin Charlton, who set a record not once but twice, solidifying her spot as one of the country's elite athletes. At the Melrose Games in the Big Apple, Charlton shattered a 16-year-old record previously held by Sweden Susanna Killer, clocking a time of 7.67 seconds.
Fast start. Kira Nugent of Jamaica. Devin
A few weeks later, at the World Athletics Indoor Championships in Glasgow, Charlton outdid herself, clinching the gold medal and setting a new record in a time of 7.65 seconds.
Been like pretty sloppy races, honestly, all season, and but still running fast times. And so I know that once I fix those things and have a proper race, that type of time would show up. So it wasn't a surprise to me, but I was still like happy and excited to do it, like just relieved because I knew it was there.
The Bahamian sports dominance did not stop on the track. It made waves in the pool as well. The 2024 Carifta Aquatics team delighted a home crowd by swimming to their 6th consecutive championship title. The team reigned supreme, topping the medal table with 34 gold, 39 silver, and 28 bronze medals. The 36-member squad was led by head coach Trevano McPhee.
Coming to add to it. We're coming to put the nail in the coffin tomorrow and, stamp this 6 feet and look forward to 7 feet next year. That's what we're going for.
The 242 continues to be a growing sports hub, hosting a number of international tournaments and regional tournaments this year. But among them was the highly anticipated return of the World Relays. The 2-day event featured athletes from 32 countries, all vying for qualifications at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. The Bahamian team earned their spot in the mixed 4x400 meter relays with a standout performance from 16-year-old Shania Adderley, who teamed up with Olympians Shawnee Miller-Weibo, Stephen Gardner, and Alonzo Russell.
It was very exciting. I'm just happy that I got this opportunity to run, and I just thank God for helping me execute my race plan to the fullest.
However, Adderley's success came amid controversy. Following her selection to the Olympic roster by the Bahamas Olympic Committee, the decision sparked pushbacks from the Bahamas Association of Athletics Association and the public, as LaCarthia Cooper, who met the qualifying standards at the national trials, was initially excluded.
B3As remains committed to supporting all of our athletes, ensuring that they receive the recognition and opportunities to excel. Our goal is to maintain the integrity of the selection process while uplifting and supporting every athlete.
The BOC eventually defended its decision and included both athletes on the final roster of the 21 competitors across swimming and track and field who represented the Bahamas at the Olympic Games.
We feel in the Bahamas Olympic Committee that she earned that position and earned the right to go to the Olympic Games. And she probably is the youngest Bahamian Olympian ever. And we've been going from 1958. You cannot take that privilege and that opportunity away from her.
Heading into the 2024 Paris Summer Games, expectations were high for medal defeats by Shawnee Miller-Weibo and Stephen Gardner in the 400-meter events. Unfortunately, injuries derailed those hopes, and for the first time in 32 years, the Bahamas returned home without any Olympic medals. Devin Charlton, however, still made her mark as the country's sole finalist, reaching the women's 100-meter hurdles. 2024 was also a year of strides in basketball, with the men's national team commanding the attention on the global stage. Despite falling short of the Olympic qualification, the team's performance demonstrated tremendous progress. Led by NBA stars Buddy Hield, DeAndre Ayton, and Eric Gordon, along with Bimini native VJ Edgecombe, the team ignited hope for the future of Bahamian basketball. son of Bahamian basketball legend Michael Sweetbell Thompson and former national basketball team player Michael Thompson Jr. expressed confidence in the country's basketball legacy.
How far we've come and the future is very bright because we have some young talent that could help us turn the page and maybe get to the next World Cup or next Olympics. So it just means a lot to be able to do that.
We're here outside of the mural honoring our WNBA star Jonquel Jones, who we witnessed dribble away to Bahamian sports history by writing a story filled with resilience and victory.
Y'all know my story. Y'all know many times I've been denied it, but it was delayed. That's all it was, and I'm so happy to do it here.
Native and center led the New York Liberty to their first ever WNBA championship with a thrilling 67-62 overtime win against the Minnesota Lynx in Game 5. Jones delivered 17 points and 5 rebounds, earning the finals MVP honor.
Not only just win a championship in New York, but win the championship, with it being the first one for the franchise and the organization. It was special.
As the curtain closed on this legendary and remarkable year for Bahamian sports, acting sports director Kelsey Johnson-Sills expressed how important it is to celebrate our athletes and their achievements.
We get to celebrate you, the Bahamian athletes, their parents, coaches, fans, executives, all of which makes this little country the greatest in the world.
2024 has been a remarkable year filled with records and resilient performance by Bahamian athletes, and the future of Bahamian sports is brighter than ever. Laurencia Smith, Eyewitness Sports.
Edenwell has expanded their testing menu. We now offer blood work, drug screening, and so much more. Our hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., located on 11 Madera Street. We are here for all of your laboratory needs, with fast and reliable lab work done by our friendly and knowledgeable staff. Let us help you take the needed steps to stay in the know about your health. Let's keep working towards a healthier you. Stay Eden well.
It's the most luckiest time of the year. There'll be things that are spinning and cash prizes winning. Just Big Bang is here. It's the most luckiest time. Yes, the most luckiest time. Oh, the most luckiest time of the year.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from Island Luck.
Time of the year.
Good health goes beyond a fit physical body. Obesity has a negative metabolic impact on insulin resistance, blood pressure, cholesterol, and triglycerides. According to the most recent statistics from World Health Organization, the Bahamas has been ranked fourth. The very first chapter in the book of Genesis notes how basic movement is life. One of the greatest blessings men received when we came to earth was our physical bodies. In collaboration with J Fitness, Ministry of Health and Wellness Move Bahamas, the Ministry of Education Technical and Vocational Wellness Week, and of course, yours truly, downtown Natasha Brown, join us January 18th as we jumpstart 2025, bringing our mind, body, and spirit into balance. Remember, the secret of our health lies in our daily routine and what we put in our mouth. Get ready for Move Bahamas. See ya!
You're watching Eyewitness News.
This hour, one more day left in 2024. Make it a good one. Coming up and Beyond the Headlines with Shanique Miller, a look at all of today's top stories. That's coming up and Beyond the Headlines. It starts right after this. That does it for us here at Eyewitness News. It's certainly been a pleasure having you in our company tonight. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Janae Nawal saying good night. Be safe, everyone.
Early childhood has Junkanoo, planting seeds so bright. Primary includes Junkanoo, building on preschool with delight. CTE speaks to Junkanoo skills for every day. Humanities speaks to Junkanoo in a creative way. Science explores Junkanoo, every fact and phase. Special ed includes Junkanoo in so many ways.
We will jump into it, public schools leading through.
Junkanoo!
Cross-curricular integration is what we will do.
Bahamas, it's time to jump into Junkanoo. Cross-curricular integration.
This January, the Ministry of Education, Technical and Vocational Training invites all students, teachers, and communities to join the Junkanoo Initiative 2025, a month-long celebration of our rich cultural heritage. From vibrant costumes to rhythmic beats, we're bringing Junkanoo alive in every subject and across every classroom.
Key events include January 9th, official launch at the Ivy Dumont Building on University Drive. January 13th, the exciting Junkanoo Jitney Tour around New Providence. January 6th to February 3rd, virtual resources on theme selection, costuming, performance techniques, plus conversations around the table with Junkanoo leaders and enthusiasts. And don't miss the grand culmination in February, where schools will showcase their creativity and Junkanoo spirit. Let's honor the rhythm, artistry, and history that makes Junkanoo uniquely Bahamian as we engage in cross-curricular integration. For more information, contact Assistant Director of Education, Mrs. Perline Baker at perline.baker@moe.edu.bs or 502-2731. Or visit the MOE TVT's website for details.
Are you ready?
We ready now!
Who are we? Hold on. Who are we?
MOE TVT! We coming!
Jump into Junkanoo.
Cross-curricular integration!
We all know there are ways we can help. Your help can go even further. Be an everyday superhero. Donate to Hands for Hunger.
So you want a space. But not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at ILTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?
Tired of driving around from place to place just to get your car insured and licensed? Frustrated with the process of being back and forth from your insurance company to road traffic? Well, BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers just made insuring and licensing your motor vehicle as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1. Visit us at the Road Traffic Department, Section 1, Thomas A. Robinson Sports Stadium.
The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Coming up tonight, fresh calls for the death penalty to be enforced as crime and the fear of crime continues. These calls come as the government of Trinidad and Tobago enforce COVID-like measures in a state of emergency to address crime in that country. Also tonight, the 38-year-old man suspected in the death of 12-year-old Adriel Moxie arraigned today. But it's his backstory that's not only puzzling but frightening. My Hot Topics panel discusses it tonight. And 9 people in hospital tonight injured after a gas tank explodes in the middle of Sunday afternoon. We take a look and also an in-depth discussion at the industry of propane gas and its delivery. How is it regulated, or is it? And is it time to change how cooking gas is issued? It's all straight ahead for you this evening. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. Well, a 38-year-old man arraigned today charged with the brutal murder of 12-year-old Adriel Moxie. Commissioner of Police Clayton Fernanda revealed this to reporters late last week, if you all can remember. Now, before his arraignment, police hosted a news conference earlier today at the Criminal Investigation Department to discuss the suspect, the charges, and his admitting to having killed at least 6 people. Here's Linton Ritchie Jr.
At this current time, we have one individual in our custody who has been charged with that murder. He is on his way to court at 12 noon today.
It was around 1:20 p.m. that alleged serial killer was revealed to the courts today as 39-year-old Chris Ferguson of Misty Close. Silence blanketed the courtroom as Ferguson walked from behind the bench, shackled at the feet, dressed in all blue, preparing to have his charges read to him by Chief Magistrate Roberto Reckley in connection to the gruesome murder of 12-year-old Adriel Moxie. But what led police to receive enough for Ferguson to be charged?
Based on our investigation and during the time of our investigation, he has provided additional information that we are satisfied that he has been able to direct us additionally into areas and directed us, and we have been able to locate some physical evidence that has connected us to that particular scene.
As a result of the evidence gathered, Ferguson stood with his head up as he was charged with 1 count of murder, 2 counts of unlawful detention, and 3 counts of unlawful sexual intercourse, all alleged to have taken place on November 18th, 2024, just 2 days before young Adriel's lifeless body was discovered through a track road partially clad. And just a little over a month later, investigators returned to the scene, reportedly with Ferguson, following his alleged confession, where he reportedly led them to some key belongings of Adriel.
We have located the school bike with that young child. It has been identified by family members, along with some additional physical evidence.
As for any DNA that could officially link Ferguson,
we have obtained specimens that we are sending off, that they should be on their way.
While no family of Adriel or Ferguson was present for the arraignment, a number of activists filled the courtroom, one being Candy Gibson. Gibson says this should be a clarion call for the death penalty.
This should come to the media and the public as the worst of the worst. Because look what he did to that 12-year-old girl, Adriel Moxie, had a bright future and he chose not to give her future. There should be no longer future for him.
Hours before Ferguson made his court appearance, authorities shut down any rumors of him allegedly being beaten into a confession.
Based on the information that was provided to them, they were able to sit down with this individual. They were able to put that information to him, and he was satisfied that the officers, I guess, had the relevant information, and he shared what he had to say with the officers.
Near tears, Gibson says the violence against the vulnerable must stop.
I come out here because I'm an advocate. I come out here because I have a daughter. I come out here because I have nieces. I come here because I have a sister and I have a mother, and that's why I'm out here. Enough now is enough.
So, gentlemen, of course, we're going to get into some hot topics discussion in a minute, but you all heard that, of course, the news conference before his arraignment at the CID, Criminal Investigation Department. Just to hear, though, what is being said or what he is purporting to have done, I imagine this investigation has now turned into something totally different than being charged with the 12-year-old's murder. But, gentlemen, I want to bring you all in. We're going to get into some hot topics discussion right now with our Beyond the Headlines contributors, Leslie Miller, Michael Turnquest. Good evening to both of you. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas. Good evening, Bahamas.
It's good to have you back. It is so frightening. Bahamians are happy that this appears to be based on CCTV evidence, based on DNA results, that to be the person that is more than likely responsible for Adriel murder. We also hear this gentleman late last week, and we saw the police address some issues there, admit to killing over a 12-year period, having killed a number of people in Grand Bahama. And then come here in New Providence in the month of, I think it was Adriel when? October, was it?
October.
Just ended that 12-year-old's life in such a cruel and inhumane way and such a depraved way. Gentlemen, let us just talk about how this case is now shaping up and the fact that some cases that have been cold cases or perhaps already thought solved by the police in that there were no leads, that this gentleman is brought up and brought back to the forefront.
Shanique, one would think that, like you said, we would hope that those 6 other individuals are cold cases, whereas though they was unsolved. But imagine those 6 names that are called, if they are considered solved by the police and we have somebody, some innocent persons or person sitting in Fox Hill, spending whether it be 12, 8, 9 years, we have just then created another criminal. Because I can tell you, there's no reform in Fox Hill from what we've seen, coming out of Fox Hill prison. So, that's the scary part as relates to, if he's admitted to killing 6 other individuals, who is sitting in Fox Hill? And I hope there's nobody sitting in Fox Hill for those crimes, But if there is, that really puts a very gray cloud over the Royal Bahamas Police Force in terms of and the country, because we've seen, we spoke about it again, we need the police, and we thank the police for things that the work that they have done is not easy, especially with the crime rate continuously rising. But we have to take these matters very seriously and not just we grab someone and throw him in jail. This is the person, and for him to say he's killed 6 more. Like I said, I can only pray to God that those are cold cases. They were unsolved, and those persons we're still looking for the killers or killer for those persons who would have been murdered in Grand Bahama.
I think one involved a house fire in Grand Bahama where there were no leads, and so as a result, the police had to kind of sort of, again, cold case, and so not sure if anyone was arrested in that regard. But Leslie, this is quite startling to hear in our midst. I mean, we would see crime stories and whatnot in our neighbors to the north. We see stuff like this. We have serial killers in our neighbors to the north. For this gentleman to up and volunteer this information after committing such a heinous crime to a 12-year-old. This is quite startling and frightening.
This is so frightening that we have among us a serial killer over the past several years has admitted to killing 6 innocent persons. And you know, this is not the first time this has happened.
No.
From Grand Bahama, you know, you realize that. Remember about 15, 20 years ago, we had this random killer in Grand Bahama
With
who
the
now
5 boys.
has come to New Providence.
Yeah.
And you got to ask them for the other family islands that someone is missing in, that they would have been responsible for their death. This is very, very frightening. Us as a society, because we don't know who is here among us. You know, first, the fellow who they say had a mental problem was blamed for Ariel's death, and now there's sufficient proof to have arrested him and charged him today that he's the one responsible for her death, in addition to these other 6 deaths. And who else? Innocent people would have been killed. Who else among us, our family members or friends that went missing, and we're trying to figure out what happened to this person, or this unsolved mystery? What is the police doing? Do they have a special unit that never closes these cases? Because an unsolved murder should never be closed. Now, I know years ago, God Johnson used to be responsible for a unit of the force, but never letting these things just slip out of our minds and out of our midst. And I wonder if these, you know, I'm so taken aback by this.
I mean,
it's beyond belief.
You almost lost. I mean, one would ask. You know, we keep talking about capital punishment. I mean, this is clearly a case where I'm sure a person would say this person does not deserve to live. I mean, we have to get serious. Our crime,
Well, he said
you know, the
can't
murder.
kill again,
You know,
he wouldn't be able to kill again.
See, but
you know,
wouldn't be able to kill
he
again.
wouldn't be able to kill again.
That,
You know,
that's for sure.
Because
After the first
you
one,
know, this is where we put individuals like that. I mean, I'm pretty sure he'll never see the light of day. You know, in terms of outside a prison cell. But you know,
Yeah, but we don't need to pay that $65
Exactly.
or $68 and change a day for someone like him for the next 20, 30 years.
But Shanique, it goes back to, you know, the other day with the killings that happened at the barber shop. Innocent people, you know. You have young men running around, you know, just, to me, this state is becoming, is lawless. You know, I mean, you know, the incoming commissioner has a lot of work to do, but at the end of the day, the government also, a lot of this lies on the government shoulders, on the lawmakers, in terms of making sure whether we can put, you know, capital punishment is on the books.
Yes.
You know, either we're going to use it or let's take it off, but we got to get serious. We have to get serious if we want to curtail this act that we have going on, or what we call this is almost like a regular way of living now.
To interrupt this trend.
Yeah,
Interrupt
people,
it.
To see the way that people react to when persons' lives are lost, or people on murder scenes. Years ago, people never wanted to see a dead body, but now you see people walking around
Because
dead
we've
bodies.
become a desensitized society, Michael. We have become so desensitized that it's numbed. Let's not forget that. Numbed.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're almost moving on automatic to try and get the video so you can be the first one to share it and to post it. All of this hunger and thirst for blood is what I call it, and some sort of notoriety has again numbed and desensitized the Bahamian public.
It's like we're raising animals. I mean,
But the government's primary job is the protection of its people. That's the first protection of the government. Protect your people. Protect the innocent.
But Les, you realize nobody in today's society people are not even moving about the way they used to be, you know, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
People are not, 8 or 7 o'clock, you see people are trying to get home in their homes. They're trying to make sure windows are locked, doors are locked. I mean, if you give them some more master locks, they'll put locks on the door. People do not feel safe.
You know, we are gradually becoming an unordered society.
Yeah. We have to get serious.
Where anything goes.
No, it is really disturbing, the fact that you're right, quality of life has been disturbed.
Yes.
People's social, and we all are social beings. We should be able to go and socialize as we wish, however you wish, whether it's out dinners and whatever it is. But people have stopped all those behaviors. You're right. You're absolutely
But the
right.
question is, how could this, you gotta name him as a subhuman, could have gotten away for so long to kill 6 people and admit to it, because of he got caught with the little girl, and he's admitting to 6 other murders that has happened. What period of time?
From 2012.
What span?
From 2012.
You know,
From 2012.
you would I'm sure everybody would want to know
alleging.
who
That's 12 years.
who the
He's
person,
alleging,
who
yes.
this person
12 years.
is. Because I'm pretty sure you and I both want to know, and the Bahamas want to know, have me and this person sat down,
Exactly.
break bad?
God knows.
Like nobody knows. Like we have not known what he's been doing in society for the past 12 years. We know that he did 6 murders, but I'm pretty sure there's the spans between that, whereas though he sat amongst the public.
And how is it that for 12 years he's under the radar? That the police is not even aware of his existence?
Well, that is the habits, and that's the movements of
How's
serial
that?
killers. That is how serial killers
How's
move.
that?
Who knew we had them in the Bahamas? But
Exactly.
that is how serial killers move.
This would be the second one.
Well, the
'Cause
second
we had one before.
The second one, exactly.
Not the first one.
Well, gentlemen, tonight, one of you mentioned it, but tonight Bahamians are renewing calls for the death penalty to be enforced. It's on the books. They want it enforced. It's something that governments appear reluctant to do. But many feel the death penalty is part of the solution needed to instill
Has to be.
fair
Has to be.
and the law or fear of the law among Bahamians once
Yes,
again.
yes.
Delano Roca has more, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Morality versus ethics remains a long-standing point of contention in the Bahamas. Now, after years of rising crime and incessant calls for stronger protocols, many we spoke to are sharing their opinions on the death penalty.
So I feel like the death penalty should be inflicted today now, because I feel like it would deter others from committing the same crimes that people are now committing in the Bahamas. And also, not only that, I feel like it would scare them more to not commit these crimes. I'm very afraid to go places, especially in the night, because of these crimes being committed here and there, and it becomes so constant nowadays. So I feel like doing that, especially towards men, makes women more comfortable to go out or what's not, because now they know that, if they do commit these crimes, that they would be punished for it.
I believe in the death penalty with the amount of murders that we have in this country. I believe it will be a deterrent, because I believe in what the Bible says. If a man takes another man's life, then that man should die. And so I believe in the death penalty. Despite what the Privy Council may say, they live on another side of the world, we live on this side. And they don't know the effects that we feel in the country as Bahamians. The amount of murders is just too high. And so we must be able to put a dent. And I believe the death penalty will be a deterrent.
While many Bahamians support capital punishment, others are in opposition, arguing that it leaves room for reversible mistakes and questions of fairness.
So my opinion on the death penalty is that when implemented, it may curb it, but then there may be some casualties, whereas persons who are innocent being charged before the courts are found guilty and they didn't commit and they're killed for the crime somebody else committed. So if we are going to implement it, there ought to be some stringent guidelines to ensure that the right person is being held accountable for what they did. I also believe that if we start our formation from the home, we won't necessarily have to be concerned about the death penalty. So if parents would do what they ought to do, the church would do what they ought to do, stop depending on the government to fix all of our problems, I think we'll be a little bit better as a country and move forward together.
The police beating you, so you can't have a fair trial either which way, because they beating you to tell the truth even if it ain't the truth. So on death penalty, they got to fix the country first before they say do death penalty. And that's my little 5 cents.
Correct criminal is found, I'm all for it, especially for those persons, child killers, serial killers, definitely.
The debate around capital punishment takes on a complex dimension in the Bahamas, where the Privy Council has blocked the death penalty in practice, even in high-profile cases. The Privy Council's stance is based on the criterion that capital punishment should only be applied in the worst of the worst cases, leaving many Bahamians frustrated by the system's inability to act. As the new year approaches, the consensus remains clear. The people want to feel safe, whether through capital punishment or other crime-fighting measures. Action is needed to address this persistent problem. Delano Roker, Eyewitness News.
And so, guys, you see there, gentlemen, in that story by Delano, Bahamians are saying largely, listen, in order for the Bahamas to return to some semblance of normalcy, where we were once defined as this tranquil paradise, where Bahamians and visitors alike felt safe, enjoyed this nation for the beauty that it is, start enforcing the death penalty. Start. No discussion. No smart talk by attorneys and who the rest of it and bleeding hearts. Do what is on the book to do.
Shanique, the problem is these criminals are treating Fox Hill Prison. They think that's paradise.
Yeah, it is.
You know, they're going up there. They're getting meals. They're getting whatever. They're getting their cigarettes. They're getting their cell phones and all that inside. You know, and the system is also flawed in a way because how you see over and over prison officers allowing certain things or they're bringing in stuff for these individuals. These guys going up in Fox Hill and living the life just like they was never in jail. So there's a lot of work that. And it has to go back on the government that they have to fix, whether it be the prison officers, and we got to instill capital punishment. It's there, but these guys, we not living in paradise. They living in paradise because we living under their regime. That's what it feels like.
The problem we have in our country today is an old age problem that emanated over 30 years ago. The last person that had the guts to implement our laws was Right Honorable Hubert Ingram. That was in 2000.
Yes, sir.
When he executed the laws of the country and said, listen, it has to stop. That was done. And since then, no one has stepped to the plate and said, listen, man, the carnage in our country must stop.
But it make you ask, who we kissing? Like what we doing for who? Because if the laws are there, why can't I, if I'm the prime minister, I'm hot enough? Who up there? Who basically calling? Somebody else must be calling the shots of running the country.
I believe so.
We need to appreciate that certain elements in this society, mostly lawyers and the like, the newspapers, for example, is always against capital punishment. Give us the damn alternative. What else can we do to protect ourselves and our citizenry? Not that we want to take a life, but this man or woman who committed that heinous crime will not be able to do it again. Give us the answer.
Listen, all nations started with their constitution sort of based around or on the Bible and biblical principles.
The protection of its citizens.
Exactly. So did not it say a life for a life?
Yes. But Shanique, let's go even further to prison. The other day I traveled and I was, going up to the mountain somewhere, and the sea in Colorado, the sea where they have their prisons located, they out in the back of the boonies. I mean, they out in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, that's where it's supposed to be.
It should be a new key where the prison is. I agree.
We need exactly, and we need to move these animals to somewhere where when they look outside, all they see
is sheep, sheep and bush
or water.
No,
if you want to escape,
water is beautiful.
Let's remember that the cost for the new prison in the Bahamas was over $50 million, And now they're trying to scale it down to about $25 million. So we give these guys another
hotel.
A hotel. You see what you call it? The accommodations they say they want to put in? These little pods or whatever?
What?
Some pods, some company came and made recommendation.
Who's making recommendation to our officials?
The fellas, this one company out of the States that give you these high-class prisons.
Well, first of all, high-class prisons aren't...
And then the taxpayers got to pay for that.
Aren't we hearing in the news daily now about this New York prison where a certain entertainer is being housed right now that is the worst of the worst? So what the dickens... Now, mind you, not that the U.S. don't have its high-end prisons for high-end prisoners. What I'm saying, though, is they have their garbage bins and want to come tell you spend millions of dollars to what? To create another Bahama?
We emulate the United States on most of what they do. The Bahamas follow suit. You know Trump is going to do what he got to do, the newly elected president.
By all means.
Right? Every state, most states in the Union still have capital punishment.
Yes, they do.
But here we are in the Bahamas relying on 12 80-year-old men plus in London that tell us what we should do and call ourselves an independent nation.
Who have no understanding.
That calls ourselves an independent nation.
No interest in what really happens in the Bahamas or what life is like.
What the hell are we doing? And we bypass the Caribbean Court of Justice because of the color of the skin of the damn lawyers who make up that court and say, no, we got to go to London. And they tell us now, what is the worst of the worst? You already took a life, right? My life is taken.
Yeah.
And you're now trying to decide, well, He only killed him, but he only stabbed him 50 times, right?
What does that make you? You ask yourself, are we really independent?
No, we're not.
We're not. We can't be damaged.
Mentally, we are not. Because we're still relying on a foreign source to dictate how we live our life in this country called the Bahamas.
But Bahamians don't want to move away from the Privy Council. They figure, you know, that somehow keeps us lofty. I'm not quite sure what it is.
The reason why we stuck with the Privy Council was because
of some
the
glitz and glamour
aspects mainly.
What is the glitz and glamour?
Most investors who come to the Bahamas, the big ones, would wish if anything happens in this country that they have the Privy Council to go to. That's the reason why Ismarillion decided to go to Delaware, they're New York. Because they don't think that the Bahamian courts are comparable enough or are efficient enough to do what is necessary on behalf. And that's why Ismarillion won his case in New York. Okay, and we can see what can happen when that peters out at the end of the day. Okay? But something has to be done. A life for a life.
Yep.
What is the problem?
Well, I'll tell you what can be done, gentlemen. If governments, including this one, are reluctant to carry out capital punishment, well, how about you all stand on business and do something just as strict? Here's what Trinidad and Tobago is doing. Like much of the Caribbean, well, there's my cue for a break, they are putting in very strict measures. We will talk about that when we come back right here on Beyond the Headlines. Listen, don't go anywhere. This is Beyond the Headlines Holiday Edition, but we still on business. We still doing it for you guys, so don't go anywhere. We're back right after this break.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is now City of Hope, creating one of the leading cancer care and research networks from coast to coast, providing more of what you need. More locations means more care closer to home. More specialists means more expertise. More research means more breakthroughs. More advancements means more treatment options. And more options means more hope. Call now to get more of the care you need.
For carpets, bed sheets, and bath mats, there's a place I know. For shower curtains, comforters, and window curtains, only one place to go. Fixing your home or automotive, that's no fuss. We put a smile on your face, come and shop with us. For all you need and more, shop at AID for Christmas.
What? You don't know what TDC is? Tourism Development Corporation? You mean the Ministry of Tourism? No, that ain't the same thing, buddy. The Tourism Development Corporation helps to develop and grow Bahamian businesses in the tourism industry. You hear what they say, buddy? Oh, yeah. Develop and grow. You don't know what all the things they do? What does do? Hey, check the website, boy.
Start your journey to ownership of our #1 industry today. Log on to tdcbahamas.com.
You work hard to provide for and protect the ones you love. However, life can present unexpected challenges. Who you call in times of need matters. Insurance Management is a Bahamian-owned company that has been serving our community for over 40 years, offering a wide range of coverage for all of your personal, professional, and commercial needs. When life happens, rest easy knowing that our skilled and experienced agents are there for you in your time of need, so that you can get back to what matters most. Insurance Management. Nobody does it better.
This segment of Beyond the Headlines is brought to you by EV Motors. Drive the future with brand new 2024 electric vehicles. EV Motors, powering your journey.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Good to have you here. Hope you are enjoying the holiday season and hope absolutely that you are enjoying the shows that we've been doing, fresh, brand new shows all throughout the holiday. And so I am going to get into, we're going to get into what Trinidad is doing as we call on our leaders to stand on business. And so we are going to bring the Hot Topics panel in right now. I've swapped out because of course it's the holiday. We want to hear from all your favorite people. And so we're going to do that. We're going to pick up, gentlemen, where we left off in the first segment with that Adriel Moxie murder case. We see that the gentleman, scientific evidence led to him, his arrest, and also the fact that he's now admitting to many more murders. Of course, the police obviously may have opened up investigations into those as well. But gentlemen, welcome, by the way, Ellington Ferguson and Glenroy Pratt. It is quite frightening for the people of Grand Bahama and to just so much to relive all of these again, because he pointed out to one or two things of where he may have committed these murders. Ellington, it is quite interesting to see where this goes and exactly what opens up as a result.
Good evening, Bahamas. Good evening, Shanique. Certainly it's a pleasure to be here once again. First of all, Shanique, let me commend the Royal Bahamas Police Force for really going deeper into this case and uncovering the real person that is responsible for this and possibly some other murders. This is a very, very serious situation. To have a serial killer in the midst of us like that. We live right to our neighbor next to the north. We're very close neighbors, and the advent of social media, the expansion of all media aspects, and a lot of people are copycat, and then evil lurks in the world around us. And so, unfortunately, these are things that we have happening. I hope that the police can really look into those cases, study those cases, see what has happened. Somebody mentioned earlier the possibility of persons being charged and even sentenced for those cases. And all of these things need to be looked into seriously. And again, as a country, we need to kind of look at the world that we're living in today. It's not like we were yesterday. We're not that sleepy village that we were. We've changed, okay? And so even our level of policing, how we police have got to change. What we do with our communities, the level of security in our communities must change to accommodate the new reality that we're living in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas. This is very disturbing. When you look at this individual, allegedly for 12 years, he's been able to fly under the radar. 12 years. And then the other gentleman who is currently serving time had, I think, about 15 years ago. So it is almost as if he passed the baton on to this other individual.
Cordell Farrington.
Right. And the other individual took it on. But the thing I have a question about is, the latest incident with Adriel, unfortunately, right? This gentleman, how is he able to traverse back and forth? Where is he getting his resources from if he is, quote unquote, not of sound mind? Whereas he was able to fly into Nassau, because if he lives in Grand Bahama, that means he's been on the airline after having committed such heinous act. He was able to go get his ticket, go on the airline, fly back. Who was he looking at whilst he was on that plane? Who did he sit next to whilst he was on the plane? All these questions come to mind. Why is it the Bahamian people don't know definitively who this individual is? Why is it that we cannot identify this individual? What other incidents that could have transpired even that he did not talk about? Because certainly if he just committed this crime, how long was he in Nassau and as he moved about? How long did it take him to commit this crime when he was here in Nassau? Did he do any other crimes in Nassau? There's so many questions that you have to ask yourself. And it's baffling to me, again, that you're saying that this gentleman has committed 6 murders, or not you in the sense. I mean, obviously, what is being stated. 6 murders. 6! And there's never been a time that he was even slightly remotely looked at. Something isn't right. Something isn't right.
Well, I'll say this. I wouldn't lay that squarely at the feet of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, because if you watch crime stories and that kind of thing that we see all over the internet, and you can just get so caught up into it, these people, particularly serial killers, can actually go undetected for a minute, and a minute meaning years. Obviously, this gentleman was shrewd. If this bears out and proves true, his claims that he's making and what he is putting out there, then obviously, he studied well and was able to evade the law.
And Shanique, if I may, let me say this. I've studied this. I've watched a lot of documentaries out of the U.S. on serial killers. They're not necessarily the rejects of society in a lot of cases.
Many of them aren't.
They're very astute people. They're very planned, and they're very, very, very articulate as to who they go after and the reasons they go after them. And it's just something that they do. So to evade the law for so long is not necessarily, again, like you say, something that I would lay at the feet of police. They can cover them tracks good. They lure people in, whereas your family member doesn't have no idea who you are with at that point in time or who you're talking to, and then they commit these acts, and then they're able to cover them up, and sometimes to the point where other people can be blamed for them. So no, this is not something to take lightly, that these are depraved people. And I don't think that this new report speaks to the fact that it's a person of mental. I don't think it did
No, this
that.
gentleman is not mentally unstable.
But the question I have, seeing this goes back, and I agree that serial killers have been able to evade police, and they're very shrewd, and we could see that throughout. They're very charismatic in how they lure their victims in. But in this age of technology, right, this is why so many questions are needing to be answered. Was there any time that this individual was ever seen on any camera footage that has been out there? Was this around a time when camera footage was in the area? Has there ever been an incident where they would have slightly seen this individual, just could not identify him? There's just so many different questions that I have that leads me to believe that at some point that perhaps that he may have been picked up or had some slight inclination that this dude is something isn't right here with this fella. Something has to be there. I mean, there has to be something.
Well, we'll know further. The police spoke to it initially today, as we know, in that news conference at the Criminal Investigation Department, and we will know further as we continue to move forward with the discussion, with their investigation, and us assessing their investigation and what goes on from there. So I don't even want to say too much until
drag on too much into that.
We've got to see more of it. But listen, we called in the first segment, gentlemen. You all saw this, and I want you all to certainly weigh in. In the first segment, you heard Leslie Miller, Michael Turnquest call on the Bahamian government. Number one, like many Bahamians, as you saw in the story with Delano, enforce capital punishment. Do something that needs to be done that would help usher in a day and time in the Bahamas when there was a regard for law and order, when there were peace on the when there was peace on the streets, when the quality of life was just admired around the world that existed here in the Bahamas. Well, Trinidad and Tobago, like much of the Caribbean, is experiencing a crime wave. In fact, many would say Trinidad is absolutely out front in the levels of crime that nation is experiencing. Well, earlier today, the government of Trinidad and Tobago announced some very strict measures, really COVID-like measures in terms of how the government is really stepping in to help address the matter of crime. Take a look, and then we'll come back and discuss.
As you would all be aware, the declaration and the calling of a public state of emergency is something that is not taken lightly, and certainly it is not something that is taken lightly by this government that has now been in power for just under 10 years. You all hearing me now? Apologies, it appears as though there was some audio problem. As I was saying, as you would all be aware, the declaration and the calling of a public state of emergency is not something that should be taken lightly, or something that this government certainly takes lightly at all. In fact, in the last just under 10 years that we have been the government in power, it has always been something that has been under consideration for the purposes of dealing with national security. So I'd like to put to rest immediately at the outset any concept or any mischief, as I'm aware, must be taking place with suggestions that this decision that was taken by the National Security Council in the wee hours of this morning, based on information that was brought to our attention by the authorities around midnight of this morning is anything but something that is not of the most serious of implications. In fact, in the consideration of whether to call a state of emergency, one of the factors that we have always considered is that we have absolutely no desire to affect the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. You all would recall the state of emergency that was called for the purposes of COVID, and during the time of COVID, it was always something that was very prevalent, the management of the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. The government has worked very hard to ensure that the economy rebuilt itself coming out of COVID, and therefore that is always one of the considerations that we have placed emphasis on in the calling of any public state of emergency. However, the current circumstances that dictated and mandated the necessity of this extreme action that we took this morning with Her Excellency, the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, based on our advice, declaring via proclamation a state of emergency in the wee hours of this morning, was based on information provided to us by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service that, when considered as seriously as it would, dictated to us and mandated to us the necessity to take the action that we have now taken and to provide you, the public, with as much detail as we can, understanding it's a national security issue, and therefore there will be elements that we cannot provide specific details on. I'd like to provide you all with as much as we can, because it is important that you, the population, understand why this decision was taken. After I do that, I will then get into the legal parameters of how this state of emergency is expected to affect us, the population of Trinidad and Tobago, and to give you the reassurance which will bear out what I started off by saying, that this government will do all that it can, not only to protect the economy of Trinidad and Tobago, but also to protect you, the public citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, and the population of Trinidad and Tobago. As you may be aware, so far as at the time we had to give consideration this morning as to what was taking place in Trinidad and Tobago, there were 61 homicides for the month of December. 61 homicides.
Listen, you all heard that. This is the 30th day of December, and Trinidad has had, this month, 61 homicides. Trinidad is, I think, for the year, over 600 plus homicides. They're having a major issue there, and as you heard, while they are very mindful, as every government was, on the impact of COVID and how COVID, places had to shut down, nations had to shut down, therefore economies, but they are having to make this and really step up, gentlemen, to make a tough decision like this, however they're going to carry that out and ensure that this state of emergency is effective and impactful and has the desired results. They're going to obviously be mindful of that, but this is what they're going to do. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and discuss that a bit. And then we're also going to look at the gas explosion. What are their regulations to the industry? Can you just buy a gas truck, put some gas in it, and then go and furnish people's gas tanks and propane cooking gas? A lot of questions tonight. This is Beyond the Headlines. We're going to take a break and come back right after this.
Edenwell has expanded their testing menu. We now offer blood work, drug screening, and so much more. Our hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., located on 11 Madera Street. We are here for all of your laboratory needs, with fast and reliable lab work done by our friendly and knowledgeable staff. Let us help you take the needed steps to stay in the know about your health. Let's keep working towards a healthier you. Stay Eden well.
It's the most luckiest time of the year. There'll be things that are spinning and cash prizes winning. Just Big Bang is here. It's the most luckiest time. Yes, the most luckiest time. Oh, the most luckiest time of the year.
Christmas and Happy New Year from Island Luck.
Tired of driving around from place to place just to get your car insured and licensed? Frustrated with the process of being back and forth from your insurance company to road traffic? Well, BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers just made insuring and licensing your motor vehicle as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1. Visit us at the Road Traffic Department, Section 1, Thomas A. Robinson Sports Stadium. At our office, you can purchase or renew your insurance or get your vehicle inspected. We at BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers represent major carriers. Step 2. See the professionals at Road Traffic to get your vehicle licensed. Step 3. Enjoy your day. Insure with BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers today, saving you time and money. Your one-stop shop for all of your insurance needs. Great rates, convenient, excellent service. For more information, call us at 322-2221.
So you want a space. But not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at ILTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Before the break, we heard from the Acting Attorney General in Trinidad and Tobago, Stuart Young, talking about the state of emergency that was announced today to be implemented immediately. Why? Because Trinidad has a problem, and their problem is crime. Like much of the region, I mean, of course, Trinidad, their numbers are substantially more significant, but certainly like much of the region, this is what they're experiencing. And then these gentlemen are those that you heard a moment ago, just before the break, are the measures they are willing to take. Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Ellington Ferguson, Glenroy Pratt. Gentlemen, your thoughts about where the government of Trinidad and Tobago is willing to go to try and just bring a halt to what's happening in that nation?
Well, you know, they obviously have to do what they deem necessary in order to fix the problem that they're facing. I mean, and it's quite alarming to hear about 600 plus murders in a given month.
But it's 61 this month.
But 61, yes, in a given month. That's very alarming. And obviously this trend is seemingly happening within our region with our young men and the fact that they're just killing of one another. You know, but I mean, while they're trying to tackle this issue, they're obviously dealing with the end result, not dealing with the actual cause of this issue. And so when we look at our situation here locally, we can implement all measures of punishment in place and ensure that people are facing the right appropriate discipline or whatever for whatever crime they commit. But we also have to look at the issue and what is creating some of the problems that we're having in these criminal activities.
What's creating some of the problems? You
know, one of the things I believe is obviously communication, right? We have to interrupt the communication among these gangsters. We have to, and most of these are known to police. Most people can identify who is in charge of which gang and all this other stuff. The way you interrupt that, you interrupt it by destroying their communication. You have to tap into their phones. You have to break their association up. Yes, there are some levels of infringement on their rights, because if you've been accused of being in a gang before, you are no longer allowed to associate in the yard with known individuals who are associated with gangs. All these things, you have to interrupt it, and you have to be on it consistently. That's the only way you're going to break it up, because as long as there's communication, as long as there's that togetherness, you're going to have these types of issues. But we got to be serious about it as well. And then the bad side of it is also, as we would have seen in the case of the police bringing in guns and all the other stuff, how much of that is tied into why these individuals are allowed to continue to do what they're doing? How much individuals are supporting them on top levels that causes them to feel like they have some levels of immunity to do the foolishness that they've been doing in this country. And so we have to interrupt on all levels. We got to be serious. And we as citizens have to be also a participant in eradicating these criminal behaviors that we have in this country. We all have to have a zero tolerance approach, and we all have to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that's the only way we're going to find ourselves out of this situation.
Ellington, Glenroy says we've got to say enough is enough and mean that. And mean that even when it comes to demanding of our officials, our elected officials, what it is that we, the Bahamian people, want to see.
Absolutely, Shanique. And I think the government has a mandate and they has a responsibility. Even as we go into another year, you know how we start 2024 out. It was a bloody year at the beginning of this year. I think the government need to really elevate its emphasis and its stance on crime to a level and to a point where criminal feels it and understands it. I don't think that this is something that we can no longer play with. I heard people talk about the Privy Council and all of that. I don't buy too much into that. I think we're responsible for our own destiny. Our legislators need to go in there and do their work. Where legislations need to be amended or added, it needs to be done. We need to deal with our issues on hand. We need to deal with our court system to make sure that it reflects the times that we're living in. Commissioner of Police Shanta Knowles is just in. She can only do what she can as it relates to the detection.
She will be singing the same tone as Clayton Fernanda.
Because let me say this about the Royal Bahamas Police Force, with all of its issues, generally, they have been able to detect and arrest criminals and put them before the court. But the same criminal get a second, a third, and a fourth chance in many cases to recommit murder and consequently even being murdered. Okay? We have to look at this legislation. As a government, we have to look at this, how we arrest this issue, how we deal with make sure that criminal understands that crime doesn't pay. We've got to make sure that they feel the impact of the law. And until they can feel the impact of the law, nothing is going to be done about it. We've got to look at implementing new laws. Glenroy talked about disrupting their communications. We've got to be deliberate about getting in there, knowing who they are, and getting in the network, breaking the networks. I'm sure Ashanta Knowles know it's not going to be business as usual. The Royal Bahamas Police Force, it's an organization that is damaged. It's an organization that is broken. Oh, yeah. She needs a lot of internal work. Don't think that with your recent couple of officers that have been before the court that it's all cleared. No, you got some filth that still exists, some corruption still going on, some networks in the police force that is working with the streets needs to be cleaned up. And so she has a handful going in, and she's going to need the support of all areas of justice, the judiciary and the government, the legislators. Everybody's hand got to be on deck. We don't need to wait till we get in crisis mode like Trinidad and the rest of the regions. We need to take control now before it gets to that. Before our economy becomes threatened by it. Yeah. We're threatened by it now, but before it damages our economy, when it damages the economy, that thing goes for the long haul. That is not something, that you could easily turn around.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we need to take all these things in consideration. Our Prime Minister need to bring some people together. Don't know long committee that go for 2-3 years. 6 weeks, I need a report. Let's see how we can deal with this. Let's see how we can tackle this.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Gentlemen, let's look at what took place near Golden Gates on Blue Hill Road, just opposite the Golden Gate Shopping Center yesterday afternoon. A house obviously getting its propane gas refilled. Whatever took place, some say that it was a clogged line. Whatever it was, there was an explosion. Thanks be to God that the 9 injured are only in hospital. You see the scene there. One house was absolutely destroyed, and then parts of another house. I understand there was also some eatery nearby. Just a lot of structural damage, apparently, including, again, some that were substantially damaged, and then people injured. Thank God it appears by now, or at this point, that those injuries are not life-threatening. The gas truck was still there. It was obviously, again, through a hose, as is normally the case. They would go and refill a tank and then leave. Now, gentlemen, let's just talk about that. Let's just talk about what has become the norm, the practice for decades. This ain't just started 2 minutes ago. This has been the practice. Is there a better way? In the United States, I understand that it's agreements with the county, the city, even like housing divisions, the apartment management complex where gas tanks are refilled. It's a different system entirely where there's more structure, more order. Are we dragging behind when we have gas tanks coming in? Pardon me, gas trucks coming in to refill gas tanks? Is that playing with danger to the point that something like this happened?
I don't think so. Primarily because in my lifetime, this is only like the third incident I think that I could recall.
By the way, I want to say that the gentleman who perhaps was nearest the gas tank and making this happen received severe burns about his body, severe burns. The next one who ran to quickly shut off the supply on the gas truck was also burnt and received burns. Not quite sure about the residents in the home, but they were injured, but not sure about the extent of their injuries. But go ahead, Glenroy.
Yeah, thank God nothing more serious happened to any of those individuals, and it's really catastrophic the way that house looks. But no, I don't think it's such a major issue in the country where we could employ or adopt some of the same standards that America uses, only primarily because our infrastructure is totally different. Whereas they have lines running underneath the ground into homes and all this stuff. And then keep in mind, they also deal with snow and all this other stuff. So they have to have that kind of gas for heating and all the other stuff. So it's a little different in terms of our country. But obviously, with this having happened, we definitely need to ensure that moving forward, that there needs to be consistent training. Maybe from a licensing perspective, twice a year, there is level of safety training that is employed to avoid any type of incidents. They may have something right now, we just don't know, but we certainly want to make sure that if it isn't there, that it needs to be implemented now to avoid this happening again, because it could have been much more catastrophic, because if that truck had blown up, that would have been a whole different situation.
And Glenroy, you're right. Yes, and I asked that question, but also kudos to one of the workers who quickly ran and had the wherewithal to go shut off the supply quickly, because you're right, it could have been a different matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is a most unfortunate situation. My heartfelt prayers goes out to the families affected. This is an unfortunate situation. Yes, Shanique, of course, we can always improve on whatever we do. And certainly, hopefully this incident lend to that happening, that we can take a second look at how we do this and see if there can be ways that we can improve on it. There will be industrial accident in almost any area of life that we do, but we must look at how we can improve on it. We must also look at regular inspection on these facilities, inspection on their equipments, make sure that they are servicing them properly on time. I think you said it was a clog line.
According to some initial reports.
Yeah, so we hopefully we can look at how we do things better and differently in going forward in this. Very unfortunate. These things happens in life, I mean, to the best of us and in the best of circumstances. Some things is not foreseen, but we need to look at regular inspection.
And the other thing too, Shanique, after the incident, and I don't mean to smile, but Bahamians, get the facts before you start spreading information. The storyline that came out, if you had gotten one of those voice notes prior to getting all the facts, you would have been, if you had family members at the gas station and other places, you would have been crying your eyeball out.
So what they said, the service station at Court.
As far as the truck blew up in the gas station, everybody in the gas station dead. This thing and the next thing, like everybody over Wendy's came outside.
In 2025, you know what? Make this New Year's resolution. No, seriously, in 2025, stop. One word, just one word, stop.
Exactly.
Y'all do too much.
Too much.
You know what I mean?
Love drama.
Jesus. But don't have to lie about it. And if you ain't know nothing and live across the nation, how you know about what happened on Blue Road? How? Stop it, man. Stop inventing stuff. to go viral and but that thirst for whatever that is, that is
And Shanique, with that said, the responsibility of the rest of us when we initially see these things to rush to share them.
Correct.
Let's not do that.
Get the facts.
Make sure the facts are, because the more we share them, we participate in the lie that whoever hacked the lie or concocted it, we participate in it. Sometimes you see it and you want to share it with a friend or close. Make sure you can verify it before you share it. And so that will mitigate or lessen that being spread all over the place.
So true. Gentlemen, of course, tomorrow evening, we will do a bit of year in review. We certainly will do some projections. Politics will be the big story in 2025. Almost out the gate. And so we certainly will revisit some big stories of 2024 and look forward to 2025 and particularly as it relates to politics and what that holds.
The Valley!
So Saxons, don't think you're all that good. Don't think it. That's all I'm saying. Don't think you're all that good. But hey, congratulations again to the Saxons, the Valley. You all deserve to get thrown around and kick about as y'all did, as we did, whatever. But listen,
all be bought.
That's it. I thank you very much, Leslie Miller, Michael Turnquest, Ellington Ferguson, Glenroy Pratt. Thank you so much, and I want to thank all of you for tuning in this evening. We certainly enjoyed having you along, and look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow evening. For the entire Beyond the Headlines team, I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a great evening, everyone.
The Verizon Media Group, home of ILTV, Paramount Systems Limited, Eyewitness.